People say that this rapper is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. After months of investigation, Sean Combs was finally arrested, and what they found is far worse than anyone could have imagined. After being at the top, enjoying fame, money, and power, today the rapper finds himself in one of the worst prisons in the United States, on the verge of losing everything. On September 16th, Sean Combs, also known as P. Diddy, was arrested and sent to jail without bail for criminal activities, including organized crime and sex trafficking. And friends, it seems he won't be the only one to end up behind bars. The investigation began months ago after a series of accusations were made against him. In March of this year, federal agents in the United States raided two of his mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. At the time, it was reported that they found weapons, cell phones, and videos, the content of which was unknown. But what has come to light now is utterly repugnant. After nearly 5 months of speculation, during which many forgot there was an investigation against him, it was revealed that a thorough investigation had taken place, analyzing evidence and interviewing witnesses to get the full story. What they uncovered in the investigation was enough to land P. Diddy behind bars. He is currently under arrest without the possibility of bail, and the world now knows that this man is a danger to humanity. Everything indicates he won't regain his freedom anytime soon, if ever. But what did they discover that led to his imprisonment without bail? Here's the story. Sean Combs is a famous rapper, also known as P. Diddy or Puff Daddy. He owns Bad Boy Records and has been an icon in the rap and hip-hop world since the 90s, helping many other artists rise to fame. Combs was always known for his life of excess and for showing off his lavish parties attended by celebrities and politicians. However, behind closed doors, these parties were anything but fun for many young women who suffered from his sinister activities. His illicit activities began coming to light last year when his ex-partner, Cassandra Ventura, sued him for sexually assaulting, beating, and trafficking her with other men while filming the encounters. According to her statements, this happened for 10 years. Curiously, Combs and Ventura reached a monetary settlement just one day after the lawsuit was filed. And while this was, for many, a confirmation of his crimes, he continued to maintain his innocence, posting the following: "I want to be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the horrible things that are alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and the truth." However, a few months later, hotel recordings surfaced showing Combs assaulting Ventura, which confirmed her accusations. Diddy had supposedly paid to hide these videos, but as always, the truth eventually came out. After the video was released, Combs was forced to record a public apology, but by then, it was too late. His credibility was completely destroyed. The images not only confirmed what Ventura had reported, but also revealed the abuse he had tried to hide for so long. However, this was just the beginning of something much bigger and more disturbing. After the scandal, many more accusations came forward, including allegations of child sex trafficking, drugging victims, and installing cameras in rooms to record sexual encounters that allegedly involved politicians and famous people. This raised red flags with the authorities, prompting an investigation that led to the March raids on Combs' properties. Recently, the formal indictment document and the investigation's findings were revealed. This document describes his crimes, confirming all the accusations against him and identifying him as the leader of a criminal organization, which only adds to the severity of his crimes. Sean Combs used his company, Combs Enterprises, as a front to carry out illegal activities. His employees acted as intermediaries, intimidating and forcing women, often minors, to participate in what were known as freak-off parties. At these events, the young women were kidnapped, drugged, and forced to engage in sexual acts with male sex workers. According to the investigation, these practices began in 2009, solidifying the company as a criminal organization. Imagine how long he was abusing people, feeling invincible as the leader of an organization that protected him, with powerful people on his side, allowing him to fulfill every sick whim he had. Fortunately, Diddy is now more cornered than ever. Organized crime in the US has a conviction rate of over 90%, meaning that when someone is accused of it, there is usually a significant amount of evidence against them. It's highly likely that he won't escape this one. In his criminal organization were his supervisors, security staff, cleaners, and personal assistants, all of whom were responsible for coordinating the parties and satisfying this man's depraved desires. With so many people involved, it's likely that many more will end up in prison. When the parties weren't held on his properties, they would rent hotel rooms that were prepped with extra sheets, special lighting, hidden cameras, drugs, and lubricants. They also handled the logistics of transporting victims and sex workers to the locations where the freak-offs took place. Imagine these parties lasting several days, with Combs often watching while either pleasuring himself or recording the encounters to later blackmail the participants, maintaining a culture of silence and obedience. As if that weren't enough, the videos weren't his only method of controlling the women. He also resorted to constant psychological and physical abuse to subdue them. Sometimes he would threaten to ruin their careers or leave them penniless. He also used weapons to intimidate them, beating them so severely that they sometimes took weeks to recover. His manipulation was not just mental, but also left deep physical and emotional scars. Among the evidence found in his mansions were weapons, rooms dedicated to sexual activities with cameras everywhere, some hidden, more than 700 sex toys, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil lubricant. This man is sick. The quantity and variety of these objects suggest an environment of organized and meticulously planned abuse. Imagine the number of people involved and the size of the parties to justify having all these elements on hand. According to testimony, the victims had to receive intravenous fluids to recover from the massive amounts of drugs they consumed and the physical exertion they endured. According to a statement from a national security agent, this case is just as bad as Jeffrey Epstein's, as these two monsters trafficked underage girls. The agent also said, "We have evidence that these women didn't feel free to leave." He added, "There is video evidence that some of the girls were clearly out of it while these men had relations with them. And friends, this case is just beginning. It's possible that many other famous people or politicians were involved in what Diddy did for years." Despite everything that's been uncovered, Combs maintains his innocence, claiming that all the encounters, for which there is evidence, were consensual. For this reason, his lawyers have offered to pay $50 million in bail to release him. But fortunately, no one is buying his story. The gravity of his crimes, which label him a serial abuser, and his wealth, which would make it easy for him to flee the country, were enough to deny him bail. For this reason, he is currently in one of the worst prisons in the United States, awaiting trial. Though he has not yet been convicted, all the revelations and accusations suggest that his long reign of terror is coming to an end. Like other powerful figures who thought they were above the law, his downfall seems inevitable. The case of Diddy reminds us that no matter how powerful, rich, or influential someone seems, divine justice never fails. We've seen this same pattern with people like Jeffrey Epstein, Keith Raniere, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and even Nason Joaquin, the so-called apostle of the Lord. These figures all have one thing in common. Although they escaped earthly justice for a time, the weight of their actions eventually caught up with them. Friends, divine justice, or simply the truth that emerges over time, always finds a way to expose those who have harmed others. Diddy's downfall is a sign that no power is eternal, and although justice may take time, it always acts and eventually reaches people.